Welcome to the last chapter of Module 2, where we are going to look at how we can use a right-based perspective to influence laws and policy that promote equitable education. Each of us has a role to play in making education more equitable. Let's go into it. Education as a human right. As we saw earlier in this module, education is a human right, first recognized in the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A right-based perspective is not just about recognizing the right to access quality education. It's also ensuring access to economic, social, and cultural rights as well. This means access to the same educational outcome, social opportunities, and cultural expression. And it reinforces equity by removing all forms of discrimination, particularly toward vulnerable and marginalized groups. A right-based perspective also sets the vision, aims, and objective for education to instill in learners. For example, fulfilling learners' full potential, personal growth, and development to enable individuals to respect human rights and contribute toward the creation of a more peaceful society. Through their education, the learner is fulfilling their civic duty as a citizen, and as recognized by UNESCO and UNICEF, education is the key for the fulfillment of all civic, political, economic, and social rights. So how do we apply a right-based perspective in practice? Here, we can consider two approaches. The first is a national level approach, where we try to tackle the central and highest level in the hope that it will trickle down to reach all levels and individuals. This is achieved at the government level through law and policy reform. The second is an area-based approach, where each individual directly implemented a right-based approach by making more equitable decisions, or more indirectly by raising awareness of the need for equity in their communities. For example, by starting an advocacy movement that can call attention to influence and reform laws and policy at the national level. Law and policy reform. So how can law and policy reform at the national level result in a greater equity in education at the area-based level, grassroots level? Laws and policy help to set standards and a common understanding of what is required and needed. Law and policy reform allows countries to adapt to new reality and to make sure that each learner is included. For instance, an emerging group may become a priority based on recent circumstances such as a sudden influx of refugees from a neighboring country or a widening digital divide as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. If law and policy are not already in place to protect groups that will need to be reformed for them to access the same opportunity as their other child to be equitable. So let's look at some examples here. In Japan, the law of guaranteeing education opportunity for all was enacted in 2016 after a process that took more than 15 years and involved several steps along the way. One of its main goals was getting Futoko, students that had dropped out due to anxiety and lethargy, back into school. The law includes provisions that promote equitable education, such as an individual curriculum and pedagogy that can suit different learners, and designing school that in a way that will make Futuko children feel relaxed and relieved. A national equivalency framework means that one country recognizes a learner's education in another country, allowing them to continue studying from where they left off rather than losing everything that they learned. Let's imagine that a migrant student from Myanmar arrived in Thailand with their family at just 12 years old. Thanks to the 2005 Cabinet resolution from the Royal Thai government on the right to education for all in Thailand, that a child has the right to access to a Thai public school system no matter where they come from. However, a number of barriers remain for them to rejoin their corresponding grade or school in general, such as the language barrier from the lack of Thai language preparation, cost of transportation and uniform, and also the lack of documentation and data monitoring. What is needed here is for the actor and organization on the ground to step in to help reduce those barriers and start to fill gaps as active contributor to equitable education for migrant children. Another example might be national learning standards that are modified to ensure that all children have access to the same opportunity to reach those standards. If a child has a learning disability, they cannot be expected to reach the same level of others without support that will help them get there, taking action. Now let's have a look at a grassroots approach or area-based approach. Sometimes we may feel powerless, thinking that we have no role to play in influencing or reforming laws and policy. But it isn't actually true. Each of us has the power to make a difference by using our voice to speak up about what matters to us. In this case, equitable education. There are two aspects here that go hand in hand: advocacy and awareness. Advocacy is the ability to influence law and policy reform, and raising awareness is one of the most powerful forms of advocacy. This can be as simple as raising important issues in meetings with the school director, local education authorities, experts, and policymakers. It could involve signaling that a certain group is not receiving the same opportunity to education as others, and asking for something to be done differently. It could also be a sensitization campaign through social media, art exhibitions, and community events to help people better understand the issue at stake. Whether it's a national or area-based approach, everyone has a role to play, and that includes you. In a nutshell, education for all could only be achieved when all for education.